What's up, guys? This is Coach Grant with First Down Training, and today we're going to be breaking down some things all short wide receivers need to hear. So I hope this video helps you guys out. Hope it could teach you a few new things. But also, fellas, if you're a wide receiver and you guys would like daily gym and on-field workout splits that you can follow to take your skills to the next level this offseason, check out that very first link in the description below for our ultimate 8-week wide receiver on-field and gym workout plan. You'll get access to over 500 plus wide receiver drills, gym exercises, mapped out with sets, reps, and examples of each exercise for 8 weeks. So check out that very first link below if you're interested, fellas. Let's get started with this video. So now, first example here is going to be a comeback route from this wide receiver. Now, this wide receiver is smaller than the DB, probably I would say maybe 5'10", 5'11", so not the biggest type guy. So if you're a shorter wide receiver, obviously you're not passing that eye test. You know, a college coach, a high school coach, even a youth coach isn't going to look at you and be like, oh, that's a guy. That's our wide receiver one. You're going to have to do some things that stand out to him. And the biggest thing that you can do, especially in today's day and age, with guys like Hunter Renfrow dominating, you know, being able to run great routes, is running great routes, having great route running, being able to sell your routes. Now, running routes comes down to the details. So this wide receiver, when he's running this comeback, right, what is the number one thing that I have to sell on all my routes? I have to sell fade, right? I think we all know that. I think we all have heard that before. I have to make this DB think that I am running a 9. But how do I do that? And those little things is what can separate you shorter wide receivers from those bigger physical type guys. Because if I got a guy and he's like, let's say I'm playing DB and I line up and I got a 5'10" wide receiver and then a receiver who's 6'4". If I'm looking at the 6'4" guy, I'm thinking, man, I do not want to get 20 yards downfield and have the quarterback throw a jump ball and I get embarrassed. Those guys have the luxury of being a vertical threat right off the line. As a shorter guy, we are threats in terms of like the quicker stuff. They're expecting the quick routes. So when we are running routes downfield, we have to make sure that we are selling. So what goes into selling vertical? Selling vertical comes down to 3 things in my eyes. Being able to run hard. That doesn't mean that you have to be faster than the DB. If you're a guy who's on the shorter side and maybe not the fastest, that does not mean that you're not able to get open because the DB's faster than us. DB might have better recovery speed than we do, but we still have the luxury of knowing where I am going and when I am making a break. So we just have to make sure we are running hard. That doesn't mean that we have to run faster than the DB. So now that I'm running hard, this wide receiver, he never changes his stride. That's one thing that I want to pay attention to. Because the DB, when he's in press coverage, and not so much in zone coverage, but he is paying attention to the second part in zone, he's paying attention to your body language, or the second part, your like stride and your speed. So a lot of wide receivers will come off the ball. First 10 yards are great. They're running hard. They're running fast, but right before they get to that break point, they start to shorten the stride. They take choppy steps because they start preparing for it. That little detail, especially when you're a shorter guy, will get you locked up. We have to maintain my stride length and maintain my speed all the way to the break point. And then last but not least is maintaining a good pad level. These 3 details, fellas, can get you separation on any route, a comeback, a slant, a post, any route that they ask a shorter guy to run, this can get you separation. So you see when this wide receiver is running a route, his pad level looks the same at 5 yards. It's the same at 15 yards. Nothing changes in his pad level. I'm not saying to run high and then just stay high. You want like a slight lean forward. Maybe have your chest ahead of your waist and you're pushing vertical because that is what the DB is reading, especially in man. And if you have that good pad level all the way to the break point, there are no indicators on the route. We never want to give this DB an indication of what I am doing by raising up, shortening my stride, or slowing down. If you could do all those things, you will be more successful as a short wide receiver. The details separate you, and the details come from your route running. Let's play this thing again, full speed one more time. Great job by this wide receiver, selling vertical all the way until the last second and dropping those hips to get in and out. So now, if you are on the shorter side of things, you're a slot wide receiver, maybe a shorter outside guy, and what qualifies as a short wide receiver? I mean, I would say anything probably, you know, below 6 foot, I think it would probably be qualified as short. I don't really think there's a right or wrong answer there, but we're treating it like you're shorter than the DB you're going up against, right? So you could be 6 foot, but going up against a 6'3" DB, and you're probably on the shorter side of things. So you got to kind of understand these different concepts. So now you got coverage, different coverage looks as a wide receiver, especially out of the slot, you know, especially even out of the outside. So to set yourself apart as an undersized guy, you have to be smart. You look at all the top guys that are undersized in the NFL, like Julian Edelman in the past, Danny Amendola, you know, Tyler Lockett, Doug Baldwin. All those guys are incredibly smart. And smart, having a high football IQ, ties into your route running, right? So let's look at this example here. This is a 15-yard out route this wide receiver is running versus a 5-yard outside shade, like kind of catch technique man coverage DB. So this DB's lined up outside shade for a couple of reasons, right? So he's outside shade to protect the outside. He doesn't want us to run an out route, a comeback, a fade. He wants to force everything to the inside. Now you might think, oh, it's one-on-ones. Why would he want to do that? In a real game scenario, he probably has safety help. Since it's one-on-ones, he's probably expecting an outside breaking route, because why would I, as a wide receiver, cut my split down in one-on-ones to go run a post? Real football is not one-on-ones. In real football, he's going to have help to the inside. This is a real look that you will see in real football, but I'm just giving you a background of it. So as a wide receiver, we need to understand that squaring him up and taking an outside release is unrealistic. This is where a lot of guys go wrong. They're on the shorter side of things. They'll just try to attack the DB, fake him inside, then go outside. And this DB is going to manhandle you, especially if you are a short guy, because his sole responsibility is to protect this outside leverage. So when I come off the ball, my mindset should be, I'm going to try to threaten his leverage. I'm going to try to get him to hold to the outside so I can take a free inside release. You always want to take a free release, whether that's outside, whether that's inside, whatever it is. Take the free release. So we give him a move, we get him to hesitate to the outside, then he takes the inside release. Because now when he's running this route, he's got space to go run the out route. He gave the quarterback room. If we would have forced it and gone all the way back to the top and would have just tried to square him up and then give him a fake, then go to the outside, if this DB stays patient, which he will, and if he's physical, which he probably is because we're shorter and bigger DBs always want to be physical against shorter guys, he's going to force me to the sideline and I'm not going to have any space. So great job by this wide receiver attacking him. He understands the coverage responsibility of this DB and takes the inside release. This is how wide receivers read coverages, fellas. You have to keep it simple, but you got to understand leverage and coverage responsibilities. So now he's able to restack. Now he's able to give a move, and you see how much space he gave the QB to the sideline. That is what we want to do. You need to understand coverages if you're a shorter wide receiver. You need to know how to structure your routes and have a high football IQ. Shorter guys, like, if I'm being honest with you, if you want to play at the next level, I know you said this in the last example, but you can't be slow. You got to have some quickness. You got to have some twitch to you. You got to be somewhat fast. If you're going to be short, like if I'm talking like real short, that's the only way that you're going to do it. So if you're not fast and you're short, you better focus on getting fast. Now, you can't just rely on that, though, because, again, you're at a disadvantage because you're small. So you need to understand how to run routes. Trust me, life will be so much easier when it comes to football if you know how to run routes and if you also have that speed and quickness. I mean, you look at guys like Tyreek Hill is probably a poor example because he's insanely fast, but that guy can run good routes. People don't give him enough credit. He knows how to structure his routes. He knows how to sit into routes. He knows how to self-fade. He knows how to set people up with the release. It's just, again, he's a vertical threat. And that helps so much when you can sell vertical and when you are a vertical threat because you have that speed. Let's play this thing again, full speed one more time. Great job by this wide receiver, understanding the leverage responsibility, holding that DB there, and taking the outside release. Okay, so now we're going to look at this rider from Amon-Ra St. Brown. Now, he's 6 foot, so I wouldn't consider that super short. Some people would consider that short. I would say it's about average. But when he's going up against DBs who are 6'2", 6'3", like I said, he's short, right? So, and 6 foot may be wrong. He may be 5'11", 5'10", right? So when he's working this route here, I want you guys to pay attention to the little detail of how he sells his releases. So many guys, when you're on the shorter side of things, they ask us about press. Like, hey, coach, how do I beat, a physical linebacker who's just sitting right there? How do I beat somebody who's right in my face and press if I'm a smaller guy? And it comes down to knowing how to sell your routes. So just like on that first example, that comeback we talked about, what's a DB trying to read? He is trying to read your body language and he is trying to read your speed, right? So off the line, it's not so much about speed. It's more so about body language. So St. Brown's doing this kind of hesitation release to the outside and he hits a crossover. But I want you to watch what he does with his upper half. His hips and his shoulders sell this movement, not just his head and shoulders. So when he goes to throw this first move, he jabs, throws to the inside, but look at how much he commits his hips, how much he commits his shoulders, his eyes, everything is to the inside. Like that minor detail can apply to off the line, can apply to top of the route, especially for shorter guys. Because like we talked about, the devil's in the details. The details is what's going to get you open, what's going to separate you from a guy who's 6'4" and probably takes this kind of thing for granted. So when you can sell your routes like this off the line, you will get much more separation. Because I'm anticipating if you're on the shorter side of things, you're probably going to be playing in the slot. You're probably going to get a strong safety, a nickel, a linebacker walked up on you trying to be physical at some point. So you're going to beat him with quickness. That's your game. But to sell, because chances are a strong safety linebacker, they're probably not as athletic as a corner on the outside. They're going to be watching your hips, but they're going to be more anxious to bite because they're just not in coverage as much as a corner, a DB would be, right? So selling routes like this, being able to move with your upper half only, being able to be quick with your feet but sell with your entire upper half is what gets us open in those press coverage situations. So let's watch the thing again, full speed. Great job here, selling the inside move, being relaxed with his upper half, sudden with his feet. That is what's going to get you separation, fellas, especially against a bigger physical linebacker type. All right, fellas, really want to thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. If you guys have any questions at all, don't hesitate to leave those in the comment section below. Always appreciate the feedback. Always great to hear from you guys. And again, fellas, if you would like an 8-week wide receiver on-field and gym workout schedule, check out that very first link in the description below. I'll see you guys next time.